I know. The lighting is super creepy and kind of awesome. But, well, when in Rome, I'm not in Rome. I'm in Indianapolis. But I happen to have been doing some recording here at my favorite cigar lounge, Blend Bar Cigar. And so I'm like, I'm here. I might as well talk. Guys, welcome to the show. Good to be with you. Presented by Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org, economic liberty, free speech. This is what I'm talking about, even when I disagree with them. Love what they do. And we're going to get into, in the future, some really interesting border conversations and what we think about how you handle immigration and illegal immigration. This is not that subject. This is the case right now before the Supreme Court. This is the story over at AmericansForProsperity.org. The biggest free speech case before the Supreme Court you haven't heard about. And this is true. This is about Lori Smith. Lori Smith is in the same exact position that Jack Phillips was in. And you might remember the name Jack Phillips because Jack Phillips was Masterpiece Cake Shop. And the question was, can anybody be forced to design a cake for a same-sex marriage? This is different than whether or not you would sell a cake to someone, because Jack Phillips was willing to sell the cake to anyone. But when you wanted something specific, like for a same-sex marriage, he did not want to be a part of that. He did not want to design that cake. Hold on, I'm hearing we have zero sound. How can I have zero sound? Hold on a sec. Hello. Really? How about now? You got some sound now? That's weird. That's super duper weird because it's showing just fine. Let me know if you're getting any sound issues. They wanted to force Jack Phillips to design a cake, and Jack Phillips was not going to have that. So he fought for his rights. He fought for his rights to say, I shouldn't have to design a cake, which is different than selling the cake. Now, a lot of this is under the idea of something called the Public Accommodation. And I know that I really shock people when I say I don't favor the Public Accommodation. The Public Accommodation says you serve the person in front of you. I argue if we're people who actually believe in freedom and liberty, you as a business owner have the right to serve or not serve anyone you want. Now, I don't think it's a good idea not to serve people. I don't quite get it. I don't know why you wouldn't want to serve me because I'm Jewish. But if you didn't want to serve me because I'm Jewish, I think you have the right to be that awful. I personally believe that you have the right to be that despicable and that terrible, and you can choose the course of your business. I think it's bad business. I think you're an awful person. If you don't want to serve somebody who's black, I think you're terrible. But if we believe in a society where people are free to make their choices as business owners, why shouldn't they say, hey, I don't serve people who are white. I don't serve people who are this, that, or the other. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's smart or valuable or good. I think it's absolutely the opposite of where we should be. However, if you believe in actual freedom, why wouldn't you believe in the ability for people to make terrible, awful decisions? I feel the same way about speech. I don't agree with Kanye, and I don't agree with this one and that one about the things they say. I don't agree with Louis Farrakhan. I don't agree with Ilhan Omar or Representative Rashida Tlaib. Of course not. Should I stop them from being able to say awful things? No, because then they stop me from saying the things I want to say because they decide that what I have to say is awful. And I think for a lot of people, they don't know how to process that argument. My argument has been made many times, and I believe Roy is quoting me right here. If you cannot say no, you are a slave. I have believed this and shared this numerous times on my radio show. I absolutely believe this to be fact. If you are not allowed to say no, you are indeed a slave. You are not free. Sometimes people refer to the fact that if you can't own real property, you're not free, right? You can't own things. Well, I think it's a little more nitty gritty to say if you can't say no. If somebody wants to take this thing from you and it's yours, if you can't say no to them, well, then you're not really free. How in the world could Masterpiece Cake Shop be free if they're not allowed to say, I don't want to design that cake? They're allowed to say no. And the weird question, I think, is why would anybody want to force them to make it? You really want a baker who doesn't want to design your cake making your cake? I think that's the weirdest thing in the world. But this is about Lori Smith. And Lori Smith is a graphic designer, and she's Christian. The story here I'm reading, quoting from, is the Associated Press. She does not want to make, as I know the story, wedding websites for gay couples. She doesn't want to engage that. She designs websites. She'll design a website for somebody who's gay, as I know the story, but she doesn't want to do it for that specific subject because that goes against her religious underpinnings. And the question is, can she? And the answer is, of course she should be able to say no. If she cannot say no, she is not free. You might agree or disagree with her. You might find her position to be despicable and disgusting, and how dare she, and who the hell does she think she is? I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying you can, but you shouldn't be able to stop her. She has the right to say no, and the Supreme Court has a unique opportunity now to do what they didn't do in the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, and make it clear that religious liberty matters, and most importantly, liberty matters. This is the opportunity to secure the concept of liberty, right? To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. This is the moment to say that you have the right to say no in America. Now, America could say that you're awful for saying no. They can't stop you from saying no. And that's where the moment has to be. And the Solicitor General for Colorado, that's who argues in front of the Supreme Court, man, if you listen to my radio show tomorrow, he got his butt kicked by Neil Gorsuch. Holy cow. Actually referred to the fact that Jack Phillips of Masterpiece Cake Shop was sent to a re-education camp. Like, it's brutality. But I want you to hear how it is the White House is describing this through Cringe Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary.
So I want to be very careful here. Don't want to weigh in or prejudge the Supreme Court's outcome. You know, that's something I'm going to do here at the podium. But to your point, more broadly speaking, and we have talked about this, we recognize the right to free speech, and we support ensuring that no one is discriminated against or refused services because of who they love and who they are. And so, as you know, we've been very clear about that. The administration believes that every person, no matter their sex, race, religion, or who they love, should have the equal access to society, including access to products and services on the same terms as other members of public. Look, the Department of Justice said in its brief that for decades, non-discrimination public accommodations laws have coexisted with the First Amendment. Courts have recognized that we can require businesses open to public to service people regardless of their backgrounds, even when.
I gotta stop. Notice how she's talking about the public accommodation. No, she's talking about providing service. The place open to all, as the public accommodation allows for. Okay, right now that's the law of public accommodation. What we're discussing here is the idea of compelling someone to speech. I design websites. I don't want to design a website for a same-sex couple. If you say you have to, you're compelling someone to speech. That's beyond even the concept of public accommodation. But I don't expect Corinne Jean-Pierre to even care about the difference. There's a difference between selling somebody a cake and then having to do some kind of specific design on it. Does the Jewish baker have to do a design with a swastika? I mean, that's the question, right? That's the only question in front of us. It is the idea that the state believes they can, and this is how Corinne Jean-Pierre is telling you, that they can compel an individual, a citizen, to do something they don't believe in, to say something that they don't agree with. It's the idea of the compulsion of speech that is so disgusting, despicable, low rent, and low class. That is the moment of liberty that the Supreme Court has to codify. They have to demand it for all of us. And that decision should be 9-0, because this isn't about two people who are men or women having their lives, living their lives together and finding a wedding cake. Because there are plenty of bakers who will make the cake, and there are plenty of web designers who will go out there and design the website. But that's not good enough now, is it? You want to compel the people who have an objection to do your bidding. You want to have power over them. You want to control them. You want to dominate them. And you don't want them to have any liberty at all. Disgusting, despicable, and it has to stop. Because this isn't about whether or not you wish ill against. Well, anyone, whether they be gay or Jewish or black or whatever the case may be. It's that you don't want to do it. And you should have, as an American, the right not to. Freedom, I argue, is ugly. It is ugly, and it is rough and tumble, and it's the best game going. And you are only free if you can say no. That is it. And so I go to this comment here from Mike. Mike, good to have you here, man. If it goes against your religion, you should be allowed to say no. What if you're not religious, but you have an objection? You believe something. What if it doesn't come from a religious place? It comes from I guess you'd call it a secular place. You should also have the right to say no. I should not be able to compel you by saying, well, is it a religious objection? We'll prove your religious fervor. No. You said no. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. And that should be good enough in society. Again, I tell you, and I know some people look at me very, very askew. I don't think they've spent much time thinking about public accommodation. We're not discussing what you should do. We're discussing whether or not government can compel you to do something. There's a story out about a restaurant that decided at the last second they weren't going to have was it a Christian couple having like a marriage thing or like a rehearsal dinner because they had gay servers and they opposed these Christians and how they treat gay people or whatever the story may grow from there. But the idea was they didn't want to serve Christians. Now, I don't know if the server has a say in it because the restaurant owner is the one who has the say, but if the restaurant owner didn't want to serve them, they don't have to serve them. There was a story, remember when Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the then press secretary to Donald Trump, was thrown out of a restaurant, they didn't want to serve her? I believe the restaurant has the right to do that. I don't think they should. I don't think you should throw people out. I think you should serve them, and as a business owner, take their money and serve them well. That's what I think you should do. But do they have the right to? Absolutely, and without question. Now, for a lot of people, they'll take that as, how dare you, Tony? They don't actually believe in freedom. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in free minds. They don't believe in free thoughts. They believe in oppressing others and demanding of others fealty. I don't. I don't demand such a thing. I believe in a free country. People make different decisions, and they're allowed to. It's not that I agree with it. This is far from a conversation about agreement. This is about rights. And the Supreme Court has an opportunity, and they should take it. I'm telling you to take a look at this just to get an understanding of the case over there at americansforprosperity.org. Americansforprosperity.org. Check that one out. And again, sorry about the lighting, but, again, the Rome thing. The Arturo Fuente, Untold Story, Hemingway, Maduro. This cigar it's been 3 hours. That's how good this cigar is. It's almost 8 inches long. Something else. Guys, I got to run. I got to go. Be sure to find everything at Locals, TonyKatz.locals.com, TonyKatz.locals.com, and keep your eyes on this story. This story is very important. This case in front of the Supreme Court matters greatly because this is the moment for liberty. And it's going to upset some people. But I don't think they're thinking about the larger picture. You should be able to live out your life as you see fit, as long as you're not providing harm to others, physically hurting them. But you can't tell somebody I have to do something when it provides harm to me. That's what they're trying to do to this graphic designer. That's what they tried to do to Jack Phillips of Masterpiece Cake Shop. That's wrong. 100% wrong. We'll follow this case, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Right here. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe on Rumble. You want me to put up the sign? There it is. Subscribe on Rumble. I appreciate it, guys. I will catch you tomorrow. Take care.